What's up, everybody? It's Sparrow with a Gun here from Sleepless Nights with another episode on the Space Engineers Let's Build series. We're starting things off today back on our Shadowbound capital vessel. And when we left off in the last episode, I kind of realized that there was a bit of an issue with the side angles in that it wasn't... the angle wasn't quite lining up. And I'm not entirely sure how to fix it, but I have an idea I want to try, hence why I have two of these over here. One is our base that we started with at the end of, or finished with at the end of the last episode, and this is one that I can kind of tinker with. So the one thing I noticed, I do kind of like the angle of this. I like the pointed, it's not quite as fat, but I might need it to be a bit fatter. And what I mean by that is I did the top, the bottom, and the sides, but I didn't really do the connecting curve, which is something I probably should have done. So what I'm thinking is if I remove all of this section, and then I work on this back angle, and try and get this back curve the way that I want it, then I can use that and the side to kind of form how I want the curve to go. Another thing that I'm thinking is I want to build up this side section a little bit higher than one block, maybe 3 to 5 on each side, and that'll give the side a bit more of a flatter raised section before we start the taper of the curve, and that might allow me to get away with a bit more of a shallow angle than trying to reach from that point all the way down there. I think that's a big issue that I'm dealing with, so, you know, that's what I'm thinking we're going to do. I'm going to leave this here because I kind of like how this is going from the start. But yeah, the biggest thing that I'm seeing is that the angle is not quite what I need it to be. It's a little too steep, and I think, like I said, part of that is I'm trying to do everything with one block spacing. Like, there's only one here, there's only one on the edge. I didn't give myself any padding to do it any other way, and I think that's probably the root of the issue. So we're going to try that. I'm going to get rid of all this stuff, all this fluff. And I'll probably leave the side for now, but I'm going to disconnect it. And the reason being, if I give myself a bit more of an angle, what's going to end up happening is it's going to create a more shallow curve, I think. And so what I think is going to happen is, if you'll notice when I showed you guys in the first episode of this, when I showed off the 3D sketch that I came up with, the nose was significantly wider. Again, this comes down to a single block point, and I don't think that's going to be conducive for how I want to do the ship design. So what I think is going to have to happen is I'm going to have to break like this to where we give myself some room. And I'm thinking the nose is going to have to be about... let's go with 3. No, that's a little too wide. Let's go with 5 total, 2 on each side for now. That might be okay. And like I said, this is going to obviously create might be a wider... I might have to move the arm out a little bit and make it a bit wider. It may just affect the angle from that point to this point. I'm not quite sure yet. And we'll probably do the same thing over here. So let's add like that. And I don't know if we'll need 1 or 2. Let's just leave 2. Let's see what that does. I might need to add more. I'm not sure. But again, it'll kind of give the side a bit more like a Star Destroyer, where it has a little bit of that inset edge on the inside, where it's like the outer part comes out here, and the inner part's a little more of a squared inset. That's kind of what it'll do, only it won't be sunk in. Though I might do that later. That might be kind of cool. as we add some more detail to it. Because if I follow this angle and I just keep doing this, let's see, what would this be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total. So from here you just add 5 blocks, and then we can cut the nose and put the ramps there later, I suppose. But if I just keep doing this, which I do like that angle, but you can see very quickly how far out we get, and we have not really brought the edge down. Now, for testing purposes, I think what I might do is actually just keep doing this and see where it would actually require, like what kind of width it would actually need to get it down to that edge. I'm pretty sure it's safe to assume that's a bit much. I mean, that kind of an angle, that's not even a Star Destroyer at that point. That's more of a stealth bomber style angle with that kind of wingspan. Yeah, that's not gonna work. So, luckily, we can just snip this. Yeah, right there. Snip those two. Snip that. And we can just kind of cut and paste these. Wait, where did it go? There it is. Yeah, so that's not going to work at all. Way too long. Now, I don't really want this to be super high. I could live with that. Like, that's not too bad. So what I may start doing is I need to kind of eyeball this. I think right about there, actually, where I stopped before, I don't mind it starting to have a bit more of a steeper angle. So what I could do is two things. There's two different ways I can think of to tackle this. Let's see, that would leave 2. Yeah. So there's a couple of ways we could do this. One, we could start using the standard slopes like this. And then maybe shorten it. So maybe leave only 1 empty. Let's see what that looks like. So that's not bad. I don't mind that. And then we can also kind of start doing the same thing over here. Oops, and doing more of a vertical angle. Like that. I don't know if that'll work. That looks a little steep to me. Somewhere about there, I may start having to round it off a little bit. Now, another option would be to kind of start with this from the very beginning, or a couple over, maybe? Let's do that. So from here, if we started that pattern over here, let's see what that would give us in terms of an angle. It's not actually going too much more of a steep angle than what we already had there. What we could do, though, is where we started, maybe like here. We could shift this into a 1 block for a few, and then go back. I don't know. I'm not... Alright, I don't know why I have this setting on here, but let me readjust this to where we get some better light. I don't know why I have it set up to rotate, but whatever. Yeah, I don't know. That's not too bad. It's still a little circular to me. It's almost looking too like I might have to keep doing it this way for another couple of lines. And then that would meet up there. Ooh, that's not bad. It's a little more... well, we'll keep that there, but it's a little curvier than I want it to be. Like a circular. It's a bit more circular. So I guess we're just going to have to finish this one and see what it ends up looking like. Because I probably do just need a bit more of a straight down and a curved over kind of edge to get the look that I'm going for. This could work, but I think it's too... I think it's... wait, where? Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, that's better. So we're gonna leave this on this second layer here. And then we're going to go from this angle and we're gonna tinker with this one. So I actually ran across something rather interesting. So I was playing around with this idea, and obviously I thought this one was too curved, so I tried this over here, which hopefully you guys can see with my headlamps on, which is a bit more of the going this way and then just kind of trying to cut down. Then I kind of had this idea here, which was, well, what if I kept going all the way and then just squared it off, which didn't look terrible, but the angle was a bit steep up here. Like, there's a much taller side section than I really wanted. So I decided to copy this over and mess around with it a little bit. So this is what I came up with over here. And like I said, it's a little too tall. I didn't really want the side sections to be that tall. Then I got the idea, well, if I want it lower, why not just start the angle here? So we get a little bit of space here, and then we start the angle, and then just go straight instead of staggering it, which then brings the section a little bit lower. And I gotta tell you, I'm not too displeased with that. It kind of has the Star Destroyer's type of look, but not completely. Now, it doesn't give me quite as much room up here as I wanted to have, but what I may do is I might just bring this out 1 or 2 more blocks, and that might be all we need to do. So I'm going to make a copy of this again. I actually went through and cleaned up all of my tests because it was getting a little crazy, and I was running out of room. Well, not room, but just I didn't want it to overload the game. So what I'm going to do is... that's still connected, so we're going to snip these. Let's add 2 more. Over here, what's that put us at? 6 on the side, total of, what would that be? 13? Yeah, so we got 13 blocks that way. Then, what we'll do is we'll add that there. And from here... oops, that didn't work. Let's just cut this, and yeah, right about there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm basically just going to walk this down this way. And dadgummit, go where I tell you to. And then we'll see if it's going to end up doing what I'm hoping it's going to end up doing, which is giving us a nice sharp angle, or shallow, not really sharp, nice shallow angle that we can work with, so it's not too triangulated. But, and then from here, we might just have to do a slope. We'll add 2. Now what does that look like? That's not too shabby. I think it could work. I like it. I think it could work. Because the thing is that the original 3D model that I showed you guys, it has this kind of like straight but very, very shallow taper, and then it just kind of cuts off. But what may have happened is I might have, in order to get the nose angle and everything correctly, this might be a little tall. I was trying to make sure I had a big ship, like that it had enough room for us to work with and move things around, but it may be a little too large. So the other option we have is to keep... I might make one more copy, and then kind of see what you guys think of this, because what I'm thinking I might want to do is take this, but then... I think for the ratios this works. I do. So I may not. I might just leave that there. We'll leave that there in case we want to actually shorten it, because what would happen if we shortened this? Obviously the nose would get a little more steep. It's not going to be quite as tapered of an angle if we... Well, that's not entirely true. It wouldn't really be more... It wouldn't really be a sharper angle. What would happen is the top part would be longer. So you would have, like, from here, a straight line of block. Let's actually try that. We'll leave this one as an experiment. Let's say... just out of curiosity, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 ridges. Let's take off... 1, 2... Let's take off 3. And by that, we would be bringing this out like this. Where's that put us? That only takes 2 blocks off the top. That's not going to work. How about 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then it would start here. I don't think this is going to work as well, but it's worth experimenting. So then what we would do is we would go... How many blocks did I go? 6, like so. We can do it from this angle so I don't have to turn the blocks around. And again, we would just walk this down. Alright, so that's not actually as bad as I expected it to look. But this is kind of what I was meaning. So what I basically did was I extended this part out a little bit wider and then had it taper down, and then this also ended up being slightly shorter. But the nose gets considerably longer doing it this way. And I don't know how I feel about that. You guys can let me know what you guys think, though, because that's doable. We'll call that option B, basically. For now, we're going to work on option A down here, which I think is a little bit more in line with what I was originally going for in terms of the taper of the nose. Though, I'm not 100% unsold on that. That could actually work, and it would keep the top part down significantly. So yeah, I'm not really sure. Let me know what you guys think. We're going to work on this one assuming that this is okay, and we're going to go with this. But I could see going with either one. Either way, the same kind of techniques are going to have to be done on this kind of stuff. So, what's going to have to happen here is... This is going to be a little tricky, because what I need to do is match this section with this section, but also make sure that this down here ties into that over there, and make sure that that goes down here and ties into there, and that ties into over here. It's going to be a pain in the butt, basically, is what I'm getting at. So, yeah. What's the only way I can see this happening? We're going to have to work on a layer system, and what I mean by that is we're going to have to line these up. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring... Now, I've never actually tested this before. Like, I'm trying something a little bit new in terms of technique for building that I can't say I've done. Come on. Alright, so we're going to put that there. Now, let's grab you and see where you line up. Oh, so close. Not where I needed it, but it was very, very close. I think I was actually only like 1 block off. Oh, I should go underneath there, I guess. So grab that. Well, no, that wouldn't really work that way then. It should be this. If I need to go one lower, then it needs to be this. Okay. Now grab this, and we'll cut that off. So, this needs to be one plane. So the curve needs to be on that. But I also need to make sure that we don't go past... Would that be the right spot to tether that to? I think technically it should be... No, that would make sense, I think. So we'll mark that, basically. So we can't go past this point, so the angle has to line up there. But we need this to line up with that by curving it. So that's one layer. So, like I said, I've never really tried to do it this way before. It's a little bit of a different technique for me. But I've always been really bad at getting these triangular curve shapes to line up correctly. So I wanted to try something a little bit different to make sure, or to see if I could figure out a better plan. So that could work. Okay. And then we really need... Well, okay, I can't go off that, because the angle's going to change when we bring this into it. Now for this, let's see if we can get this nose set up. Probably going to have to do something like this. Something like this, I imagine. But how many blocks in between? We have a total of 3 showing in between. So let's say we do 5. Let's do 5 showing. And let's see how that would affect the angle. Like, can I keep that going or not? I don't think that's going to line up right. So let me go ahead and snip this edge, because this isn't going to work. Might keep that part. Might keep that little edge part there and see if I can tie that back into it. Hopefully that'll work. Alright, so I've been playing around with this a little bit, and I came up with a different variant to the nose, which I think is going to work a little bit better. So what I did was I kind of followed after this kind of philosophy, where everything was going all the way back to one edge, where I should be kind of extending it a little bit further. So I brought this out quite a few blocks, and then kept it with a 3-block showing type ramp taper, sort of, so to speak. And then that walked it right up to the edge, where I did cut it a little bit shorter just because I was making it fit right there. But yeah, I think that'll give it the kind of wider edge that it needs. And so from the top, actually I probably should look from the bottom because of that frame, but you can see it kind of, it allows for a little bit less of a sharp angle, or I think is what I'm looking for. I don't know, but I think it looks better. I think it works a lot better. So overall, I think we're getting a pretty good framework going here. Now, as for, and I don't know if I'll have to end up tapering this at all, or if it should just be straight to that edge and then straight to that, you know, like I'm not sure if it needs to taper and round it all or not from there. But from this point to that point, or actually let's start with the top, shall we? So like I said, we need to kind of find a... Actually, if I'm going to do this correctly, I probably should find a taper edge. More than likely is what I should do. So we want to bring it out to, let's say... what is it? I had them set up on this one. Here we go. So let's rotate these like so. And let's say we want, I don't know, maybe 5? 5 straight, maybe? And then we'll start kind of walking it back. So what I'm going to do is we're going to grab the... Well, it's going to grab... Is it corner? The light armor corner base. The tip. And then the inverted. And let's go ahead and set them up correctly. So we have this way. We have this way. That. And like that. Okay. So from here, we should just be able to kind of walk it back. Now, I don't know if this will work. We're going to try it. But what I might end up having to do... Wow, I didn't really organize that correctly, did I? What I might end up having to do is... Well, no, this might work. This might work. Let's actually try it. I was going to say I might have to stagger them by putting some standard slopes in between somewhere, but this may actually work. Let's see. Before we write it off too fast. And so because of this taper line here that I drew, we can do like that. Oh, no it can't. Alright, here's the problem. If I do this, this is not a single slope. It's one of these. Like so. So, what that means is if I were to run this all the way down, as you can see, this is not going to line up. So, just for the ease of use, we're going to go ahead and do that, but we're going to have to fix this somehow. And this is the part with these ramps that I've never been able to quite figure out. And it's largely in part because there is no real corner that lets you curve. That's the big issue. Now, what I could do is something like this. Kind of thing. But I don't like how that looks. So, what I may have to do is come from this angle right here. Now, let's see what happens if I bring it like this, bring it like that. Now, here's where one of those modded corner blocks would work really well. But I don't really want to make use of those. I'm trying to keep it modless, as you guys know, just for ease of... Well, for two reasons. One, I'm thinking of using this in Dog Squad. If I decide to do that, it makes it easier when you don't have to worry about getting modder permissions and things to use certain blocks. It makes things a lot easier. I can kind of do whatever I want. So vanilla is nice, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I'm going to make this work. Because I run into this every freaking time that I use the ramp slopes, or the 2x1s, because it gives you a nicer curve. Now, there is one very simple solution, but I don't like it. The simplest, Occam's razor solution, is to put... I somehow got this as a heavy armor. I did not mean to do that. Whoops. There. Does that mean I've been placing heavy armor this whole time? When I did these? Heavy armor. Yep, I did. Well, pooper. There we go. That's better. I don't think I actually used too many of these, so that shouldn't be much of an issue. But the simple solution is to put a block like this right at the corner. Actually, we can go ahead and do that just for the sake of this demonstration. So the simplest solution would be to do that. But what I don't like about that is it creates this very sharp dip before you get into the nice curve. Now on the edge it's not too bad because you kind of just round it off. Going up, I don't like it. I never have, probably never will. And so I'm not a fan. However, this does create quite a bit of a problem. Because I don't have a block. Like, I really don't get why they didn't give you a block that allows you to taper these together. It really boggles my mind that they didn't build that in, like give you a 2x1 corner. It's really annoying. But whatever. Okay, now, if I did... And I could do something like this, I just don't want to. I wanted it to keep a nice smooth curve. And no matter what I try, it just always seems like the game doesn't like me to do that, which is really annoying. Because you could do something like this, but obviously that does not work. So, yeah, this is part of why I have such a hard time with this shape, because of this corner right here. Now, what if, here's a hypothetical, what if I did a block there, and then I would have to do a inverted corner here, and then, and only then, could we maybe get away with doing something like that. I'm not... Oh, what happened here? Whoops. I got floating blocks here somehow. I'm not the biggest fan of this. But, admittedly, I cannot really think of a better alternative. I don't really like how that creates a very sharp. It's like almost a 90-degree cut. And I don't like that. But it may be the only thing that ends up working. Now, the only other way I could do this is to actually pull this back by one, which would shorten it up here. We might actually... Let me turn off mirror mode. And we're going to try that here. And for those of you that don't know what I'm getting at, I'm saying... like this. Like that, and then now that I've got this all turned around, there we go. And what this is going to do is it's going to shorten the curve to where you have to then bring this back a little bit. And when you do that, it lowers this, because you have to essentially walk everything back by like 2 blocks. Or something to that effect. Something similar. Get rid of that, get rid of that. Bring this back. Now, from here... no, we still have to do one. Still have to do another one. Oh, nope, that's not going to work. Oh, that won't work. I cannot do that, in fact. Because, once again, there's no way to merge a 1 block, or... Well, hold up. Did I get away with... Nope, can't get away with that. Okay. So I would have to bring this back by 1, which is not what we want to do. Now, I could do it right here, actually. I could put a block like that. Now that could work. Oops. That could work. Yeah, that could work. Creates a little bit of a wider angle. It's not quite as noticeable on the front. Now, the other way you could do this is to kind of stagger it with these kinds of blocks here to bring it further back. And you could create a bit more of a elongated shape, but I don't know. So, yeah. And then at this point, when you've got that set up, then you can essentially just take here, cut that, and take this and bring it back to there. And now you do the rest of the shape that then marries into the rest of it, but I think that's going to be my technique for kind of bridging the different shapes, I think. And that way I can kind of get different layered shapes at a time. You know, you get the top one, then you go down and you do like a middle section, then you do the nose, and then you kind of feather them in together, is kind of what I'm thinking. I don't know which way I like on this better, though, to be honest. I kind of think I like this one on the left a little bit better, but I don't know. I don't know. And I could, in theory, change the shape, but I don't want to, because however this top one is going to be is how it's going to affect the layers going down from here. You're going to kind of follow the same shape all the way down. With a few exceptions being like you're going to widen out the ring a little bit. So I don't know. I don't know which one I like better. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, but I think we're going to wrap this one up here. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and I will see you all next time. Peace.